So, intoxicated passenger duct taped his seat after trying to break into cockpit. An allegedly heavily intoxicated airline passenger was bound to a seat with duct tape after attempting to enter the cockpit mid-flight on Sunday, December 15, 2019. The S-7 flight was between the Russian cities of Mineralny Vody and Novosibirsk. I probably am butchering the pronunciation of those names, but you can see them right there. According to a statement published in Russian, issued by the Ministry of Internal Affairs of the Russian Federation, the flight crew of the aircraft issued a message to the Deputy Department of the Line Department, LO, at Tolmachevo Airport. The crew requested assistance from police officers on the ground due to the unruly conduct of one of the passengers. Once on board, officers found the man secured to one of the plane's seats. The passenger had displayed visible signs of intoxication during the flight and reportedly used inappropriate language towards the flight attendants as well as other passengers. He reacted aggressively to the comments of the airline employees trying to enter the cockpit. To avoid serious consequences, the crew was forced to limit his movements, the statement reads. The public order offender was taken to the police on duty, where he continued to behave defiantly and used obscene language against police officers on duty. The investigation department of the LO of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Russia has since begun conducting a criminal case against the detained passenger. You know what? Good on that flight crew for doing this to that passenger. That passenger got exactly what he deserves as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to go onto a tight, confined space, like an airplane, where planes are quite often crowded, full of passengers and tight quarters, and a number of those passengers might already be stressed out and feel uneasy about flying and have other things on their mind, and go on and get intoxicated and act like an idiot towards other passengers and the flight crew, then you deserve to be duct taped to your seat until you get to your destination, where you can be handed over to police custody. And I'm hoping that that airline doesn't get in trouble for doing this. And I'm hoping that he's unable to successfully sue the airline through civil court. Because you know that if that happened in, say, Canada or the US or Europe or Australia or New Zealand, then, like I know here in Canada, the flight crew would possibly risk getting in trouble for that. And that restrained passenger might decide to turn around and sue the airline. But let's face it, I mean, this guy was acting in such a way. He was trying to break into the cockpit. Who knows what would have happened if he successfully broke into the cockpit? He could have potentially crashed that plane. Like I think our policy here in Canada is that if a passenger acts unruly, I believe that plane has to make an unscheduled emergency landing to release that passenger to police custody. So would you rather an unruly passenger be duct taped or tied to his or her chair until you get to your destination? Or would you rather have that plane make an unscheduled landing, causing you to get to your destination late, or if you're already late, get to your destination even more late than you already would have been? No, I'd rather restrain that passenger. As a matter of fact, I think what they should do is if they can put security guards in places like shopping malls to keep the peace, I think maybe they should start putting security guards on airplanes as well too. Like places like airplanes and possibly places like maybe on trains as well too. They should definitely put security guards on airplanes. I don't think that plane should have to make an emergency landing and possibly go out of its way. Because sometimes you'll even hear about these planes, like let's say a plane is going from Toronto to London, England. I've heard about cases where that plane might actually be over Eastern Canada, like say somewhere like Newfoundland, and that plane has to turn around in Newfoundland and come all the way back to Toronto to unload that unruly passenger. I'd rather the unruly passenger be inconvenienced and restrained against his or her will than to have to inconvenience a plane load of people to get rid of that unruly passenger. Yeah, I think getting back to the security guard thing, I think security guards should be on planes, and I think security guards, they should be able to carry handcuffs and leg shackles with them on that plane, as well as carry ropes or chains or other forms that they can use to actually restrain the passenger to the seat. And maybe they should also carry stun guns and tasers as well too. To also use maybe even billy clubs that they can use to restrain unruly passengers. Pepper spray I don't think is a good idea on airplanes because you have so many people sitting together in such close quarters. I don't think pepper spray would be a good idea. But I think at least a stun gun and a taser and maybe a billy... Well, I don't even know about billy clubs, but a stun gun and taser for sure. And anyone that acts up on airplanes like this, they should be put on a permanent no-fly list where they're not allowed to get on any other airplane. And it should go anywhere from a temporary... from being on a temporary no-fly list to being on a permanent no-fly list, depending on how badly that passenger acts out. And I've heard some people, I've even had this train of thought to myself before that maybe it's time to stop serving alcohol on airplanes. I can completely understand why some people feel that way, but you know what? You got to think about it in this way. Yes, there are some passengers, some people that act like real idiots after a few drinks that can't hold their alcohol. But if you stop serving alcohol on airplanes, I'm guessing that airlines probably take in a decent amount of money off of alcohol sales. So if you stop selling alcohol on airplanes, then that means those airlines have to find another way to make up that source of lost revenue from those lost alcohol sales. And unfortunately, airlines will probably pass on those losses to other aspects of flying. They might just add it to the actual basic cost of your airplane ticket, or they might increase other fees such as checked luggage and carry-on luggage. You know, they'll find a way to get that money if they stop selling alcohol on airplanes. So I don't think barring the sale of alcohol on airplanes is the way to go. I think putting security guards on these airplanes with appropriate restraints and appropriate weapons for restraining these passengers is the better way to go. But this guy, in my opinion, got exactly what he deserves. And I don't think there's too many people that would disagree with me on that. I hope he goes to jail, whoever he is, and I hope he's banned from flying.